Hey y'all, iRick Sky here, and I promised everyone that I would explain how I enhance my Mavic Mini's footage. Now the Mavic Mini's footage is very good. Obviously it tops out at 2.7K. It is not a 1-inch sensor like the Mavic 2 Pro has, but despite its small size and ultra lightweight nature, this drone can capture some incredible footage. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring our Final Cut Pro 10 over here. And by the way, expand this video's description and then click the link there and you can find, I've listed lower end to higher end Mac computers that I would recommend for video editing such as this. And then obviously the Mavic Mini, you can find it there as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project and I'm going to entitle it Mavic Mini How to Enhance Footage. How to enhance video quality. So, and a few assumptions here. This video assumes that your Mavic Mini is set to record at 2.7K 30. And as evidenced by this clip, and this was a clip from one of my field tests yesterday, you can see if you do the I for information, you'll see 2720 by 1530 29.97. I don't know why it doesn't say 30p, but 29.97p is 30p. So this tells you 2.7K 30 frames per second. So those are the video settings on the Mavic Mini. What I want to do, and this is the way I've got my Final Cut Pro configured, the first clip that I drag into my timeline in Final Cut, that'll determine the resolution. So I want this to be a 4K project. Now again, the Mavic Mini, at least the current version, the current firmware, tops out at 2.7K video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this video clip in here. This video clip is 4K. You can see 3840 by 2160 by 29.97. So 4K 30 frames per second. This video clip I filmed with the Mavic 2 Pro. But the reason I'm showing you this is now the first clip that I've dragged into this project that I've created to show you how I enhance Mavic Mini footage. It's a 4K project. So now when I drag some of my Mavic Mini footage in, and again, you'll see if I highlight my Mavic Mini footage, it's 2720 by 1530 29.97p. So that's 2.7K 30 frames per second. Yeah, I know it's goofy that it says 29.97, but that's 30p. So, a few things about this clip, and and every flight's going to be different. There's going to be, different. There may be shadows from trees. There may be very cloudy conditions. It may be bright and sunny. This particular field test, I was out in a wide open field, and it's very cloudy, as you can see. So what I do is I look at a few things. Like, see this right here? This is an orange landing pad. So when I look at it, and there's white in the middle. So what I do in Final Cut, I go to this little doohickey here. It looks like a little triangle that got hacked off or whatever. It says show the color inspector. So we're going to go into Final Cut Pro 10 color inspector. Now once I'm in here, there's a few things that I do with my videos. And again, this is all determined, the adjustments that are made are all determined by the lighting conditions during the flight. And for my Mavic Mini, I just use 2.7K 30 frames per second auto. So I'm filming in auto, but with that being the case, when we look at this, yeah, it is very cloudy, but that's that's natural. It was cloudy that day. Say I want to brighten it up. You can go to exposure, and there's a few things you can do. The slider on the left is your master slider. So this is going to do everything. Now you see I go way up, it washes it all out. See how bright that is? That's what you don't want. That does not look right. And if you go way down, it gets really dark. So this really dark would be an example of being called underexposed. This up here would be overexposed. So you can look at see right here where it says 15%. You can go back to 0, which is right out of the camera. Now, what I do is see this. I will have to say that this right here, even bumping up 5% or 12% especially, to me that looks overexposed. So I'm going to go back to 0 here, and where you may really see, if you go to another part of your clip, in this case, there I am. So instead of looking at the landing pad as a point of reference, maybe I'll look at myself. So let's try the exposure here. See, it's already overexposed at 21%. So in this situation, I think that 0%, right where it is, I think the Mavic Mini, and again, this is personal preference, but I think the Mavic Mini did an exceptional job with determining the appropriate exposure. Because see, if I go down, underexposed very quickly. And then see, if I'm back at 0, that's right out of the camera, no adjustments. And then I go up, well, even at 12%, that looks overexposed, that looks washed out. So I think in this scenario, I think the Mavic Mini's camera did a great job automatically determining the best exposure to use. So with that being the case, I'm not going to mess with the exposure. I don't have a need to, because it looks really good. Now, what doesn't look as good is what's referred to as saturation. So if we go to saturation tab, this is where you can change the overall color. So look at things here. I got blue on. There's green grass. There's kind of dead grass. There's this orange landing pad. So if I grab this master thing and go all the way up, see how much more color that has? Now that right there looks fake, because I've bumped the master saturation level up 100%. See how fake that looks? But it's made the colors a lot more pronounced. So as an example, we're at 100% with the master saturation. Let's drag it back down to 0. So see, since we're back at 0, that's how it looks right out of the Mavic Mini's camera. Like I said earlier, this is a cloudy day, so it's kind of dark. But I felt that the exposure was correct. But the saturation, look at this. See, if you go down, that's taking color out of it. And I mean, that's going down to pretty much grayscale right there. But if you go back to 0, you can see that it might be able to benefit from a little bit more color. So let's go up slowly. Now see, I'm up at 28%, and this may vary upon environment, but I found for most of my Mavic Mini videos, you can see right here the master saturation level, I increased by 33%. So now as we scroll through our video and we go to other key moments, see, there I am. But because I only increased saturation by 33%, it looks natural. It doesn't look like this has been doctored up. One thing that a lot of people that do what's called color grading, the trap they often run into is they process the colors so much that it doesn't create a believable looking video. Now see, as I scroll throughout various points of this video, even looking at the clouds, looking at the grass, the trees, the rooftops, all of this to me looks natural. But, now see, let's take this shot right here for example. We're at 33% increase. Let's bump it back down to where the Mavic Mini's camera was by default, which is 0. Now watch this slowly. Watch, look at this grass area, look at this building, look at whatever point you want to. I probably wouldn't want to look at the clouds. But let's go way up. We were at 33. I feel that 33% in most situations is the best for Mavic Mini, but let's go way up. So see, now we're up at 100%. Notice this grass, it looks kind of fake. Notice there's kind of bluish color there. It's really weird. Now let's go down slowly. Now see, you're starting to see that go away. And see, now we're back at 33%. Now if I go up from 33%, you can see it starts to really look fake at some point. Right about there, I think. But if you go back down to 33%, I think that's believable. I think that's the I think that's the optimal setting for most situations. But see, if we go down, if you go down to default, which is what the Mavic Mini's camera did saturation-wise, it's 0%. That still looks good, but watch this. Again, just take a second to look at this entire frame. It's 0% saturation bump. Now let's go to 33. It's not overkill, but look at that. So again, take a second to look. We're at 33 right now. Look at the grass. Look at the overall image. Now let's go back down to 0. So see, we're at 0. You can see there it looks good, but it's not well saturated. You don't get a lot of color. But when you go to 33, you get more color. And that may not seem like a big deal to a lot of people, but when you're watching videos, just the amount of time that it takes someone to go in and perform a little bit of color correction. Again, don't go overboard with it, because if you do, if you go overboard, you can create something like this. It's just got all these colors, but it doesn't look real. And maybe there's a situation where you want to have it, where you want to have the saturation blown out of proportion for the type of video that you're creating, and that may be acceptable. You know, you want it to look weird. But for most like natural looking video with a Mavic Mini, if you go to saturation and you go to master, and you can adjust these individually too, and we'll discuss that in other videos where, you know, maybe I don't want to adjust master saturation, but maybe I just want to adjust the highlights. You know, how will that benefit me? And you'll see a lot of that in my Mavic 2 Pro videos where I'm out in the Caribbean and I've got a lot of water and sand, and those are a different. That's a different animal editing those. But for the Mavic Mini, for most situations, I think that you'll find, if you follow this workflow, you'll probably find that people will probably comment on your videos and be like, "Brah, that looks sick, dude." You know, and stuff like that. And they're like, you know, well, how did you do it? And then you can say, well, you know, I watched this guy, Irix Guy's Adventure Channel, youtube.com/Irix Guy, and he put a tutorial up entitled Mavic Mini How to Enhance Video Quality. You know, this stuff doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, again, just to recap, if you've got a Mavic Mini, you set your Mavic Mini to 2.7K, 30 frames per second, just use the auto mode, film with that, and, you know, after you finish filming, bring it into your Final Cut Pro 10. If it looks overexposed or underexposed, adjust the exposure, which in this case we didn't, because the Mavic Mini nailed exposure. For these lighting conditions, it nailed the exposure, so I didn't mess with that. Well, then your saturation, you know, how's your saturation? Keep it simple, mess with the master, start at 0, kind of bring it up. You know, don't just look at one point of your video. Because this point here, this was good. You know, you got a landing pad, bright orange. This one here, you've got me. You've got a subject on video. And then this one here, you've got greater altitude. So you're able to see how that saturation level adjustment will look throughout the various points of your video. You know, the close-up of a subject, the close-up of an object, which is a landing pad, and then the far-away view of the environment. So I hope this video is of value. If it was, be sure to thumbs up, like, subscribe, ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. And just as a reminder, expand this video's description and then click the link there, and you can find several Mac computer configurations that I would recommend. Obviously, various price points. Also got a link there to the Mac that I was using, the type of Mac that I was using when I edited this tutorial. So thanks for your viewership, and if you're looking for Mavic Mini, you can find that linked within this video's description too, as well as all the accessories. And y'all have a good day. And if you like this video and if you want to take it a notch further, expand this video's description again and check out my Patreon link. That's right, I'm an independent YouTube channel, but I am on Patreon. And if you choose to support my channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Captain Irix Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/Irix Guy. and ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.